So this is Unit 2 and looks at equality and diversity in the community. And this particular lesson looks at answering questions 1 and 2. So you can see where it fits into the scheme of Unit 2. So we're looking in today's lesson at the extent of diversity in Swansea, examples of physical diversity in Swansea. Then you'll move on to lessons 2 and 3 after having done this one. So that will be the next one in the scheme. Okay, so question 1 asks you to describe the extent of diversity that exists within your community using graphs to show the data. So the following slides are a series of data collection on different categories, age, gender, religion, and so on. And you're going to use the data on those pages to create graphs and charts. And then after each one, you're going to write a paragraph to analyse what your graph or chart shows. Okay, so on the first page, we've got the census data for non-white ethnic groups in Swansea from 2011. So when you create your graph or chart, you would imagine the majority of you now know how to use Excel. So create your graph on Excel, put it into the columns, and then you're going to highlight the data you've entered into the columns, and then you're going to insert a graph. And on the graphs, when the different graphs you can use come up on Excel, it'll also say recommended chart. So click on recommended chart and see which one it recommends and use that. Once the chart is created, you're going to copy and paste it onto a Word document or a Publisher document or onto a PowerPoint slide, and then next to it you need a paragraph that analyses the data, that explains what your chart shows. Okay, so you're going to do that for the non-white ethnic groups in Swansea. So you need to decide whether you're going to use the actual numbers or whether you're going to use the percentages, and that might have an effect on which graph it recommends. Okay, the next page, this is the next table, and this contains data also about different ethnic groups. What I would suggest with this is that perhaps the largest ethnic group, which is white, English, Welsh, Scottish, Northern Irish, British, you leave that one out, because otherwise the others, which are relatively small, certainly in the case of percentages, will not really appear very clearly on your graph. So perhaps leave out English, Welsh, Scottish, Northern Irish, British, and include the other ethnic groups. So again, enter the data into Excel, highlight it, look for the recommended chart. Once the chart is created, right-click, copy and paste, and then create a Publisher page or a Word page or a PowerPoint slide and copy and paste the graph onto there, and then next to it create a paragraph that analyses the data, shows what the chart shows. Okay, the next one is for religion. Again, I suppose you have a choice whether to put the actual numbers in or the percentage. You decide. Exactly the same format, adding the data, creating the chart, copying and pasting it onto a document, and then analysing the data in a paragraph next to the chart. Okay, this one is about disability and ill health in Swansea. Again, you use the information. So again, you have the numbers, you have the percentage, you need to decide what you're going to use. The next one shows diversity of age and gender. So you're looking at male, female, and you're also looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different age categories from the census data. Okay. So again, same thing applies. Add in the data on Excel, create the chart, copy and paste it, and then analyze the data. Same again with this one. It looks at household language, so it looks at English or Welsh being used. The next chart looks at country of birth. Okay. Again, it may be beneficial to you to take out those born in Wales and just look at the others, because again, at 77.7%, that's going to wipe out a lot of the other ones and not make them show very clearly on the chart. So you can sort of play around with it, experiment a bit and see what works and what shows, because if you remember, we're looking for diversity. So we're looking for perhaps people who are not born in Wales. So how are they different, or how is their diversity? How are their differences of different people born in different places? Okay, so for question 2, you're going to look at physical diversity. The question actually asks you to give 3 examples of physical diversity within your chosen community. So it's a term used to describe differences in people's appearance. So skin colour could be diverse, could be different. Hair colour and type can be different. Gender can be a physical diversity. Age, physical health and disability. Religion, where it's indicated by clothing or other religious symbols or things that somebody might wear to show that they belong to that particular religion. So what examples of physical diversity can we see in Swansea? So you can go back to your data and look there to see the different types of people and how would those different people show physical diversity. And it's in all those things that we've just mentioned. So the question is to give 3 examples of physical diversity within your community. So I've given you some suggestions here. So people with disabilities in Swansea, how would you describe the sort of physical diversity that people with disabilities in Swansea would show? So, you know, people might have limited mobility. They might need wheelchairs. They might have limited use of their limbs. So describe what that would look like. People of different ages. Look at the different ages in the data. Go back to the section where you were looking at different age groups in Swansea. How would you physically describe each age group? So 0 to 4. You know, they would be physically small. They'd be learning to walk. Their talking would be in development. So describe, you know, and again, a teenager, how would you describe the physical appearances of a teenager? How would you describe the physical appearance or physical diversity of somebody who is in their 70s? So use that as your second example. And then finally, people of different religions. Look at the data on religions that you've previously written some analysis of and done a chart on. How do religious followers show their beliefs? So what clothes do they wear? So you might be talking about Muslim women wearing a hijab, Jewish men wearing a kippah. So look at some of the other religions that are evident in Swansea. So with Christians, some Christians may choose to wear a cross around their neck, for example. So what physically shows that that person is a member of that particular religious community? So that should be your third example. So within the box, you are giving 3 different examples of physical diversity. Once you've completed the task, print off all your charts and summaries, or if you're not able to do that, then email them to your class teacher who can then print them off for you, or there may be an opportunity to go into the computer room on a lesson for you to print off all of the work that you've done. Okay, again, if you have any extra questions, again, email your class teacher.